I've been telling our KSM family for quite a while that there are some big things for our ministry right around the corner, and it's finally time to let you into the secret and to ask you to help me bathe this thing in prayer. Now, in my music world, especially when playing with a band, we often say less is more, meaning you don't have to play a lot of notes, just play the right ones. And less is more is exactly what we're aiming for at this phase of the Night Song Ministry's journey. I left the last church I served full-time in 2016 after 21 wonderful years. If you do the math, we have been touring regularly for well more than 8 years. And it was time for us to slow down a little bit. Well, maybe a bit more than a little bit. Just short of a year ago, I began to believe that God wanted us to take a step back and take a little time off to discover what He had in store for us next. You may recall from my earlier writings that the most exciting part of this journey has been how God only revealed our path one step at a time. Now this time was no different. It seemed that God was saying, "Whoa," without me knowing why. So after we completed all of our dates for 2023, I simply didn't book anymore. And I appreciate so much the patience that so many of our great churches displayed when I said, "No, I just can't come right now. God is up to something." It was a time to listen to whoa, say no, and take it slow. I continued serving in my position as Associate Director of Mission while honestly seeking what God had next. And very soon a new dream began to take place. How could we capitalize on all that we've learned in our ministry and slow down our rate of travel at the same time? And then the dream to R2R was born. R2R, the road to restoration. Bringing to bear the experience we have gained while sharing Matt's story and in conferences all across the country, we now feel impressed to try something more, much more. So we want to offer grief intensives as standalone events or in conjunction with a weekend worship experience. It's here that people community-wide can share their grief and where others can learn what to say to those who are grieving, or better put, learn what not to say. And we would like to do between 3 and 5 of these per year. This specialized format will include worship, sharing, laughter, videos, teaching, and an infusion of genuine hope into the lives of hurting people. Like all of Night Song Ministries, it will be designed in such a way as to be manageable by churches of any size. And it is here that we will have the opportunity to share so many more of those lessons we have learned, this time in focused sessions. You'll get the idea with session titles like The Empty Chair, Navigating That First Crazy Year, and Happy Holidays, an intimate discussion filled with practical insight, including a touching real-life story. For couples, there's Same But Different that offers help in understanding how two people can navigate the same grief so differently. And He Said, She Said, Then No One Said. This is a chance to cut through the misunderstandings, the emotion, and the rhetoric and rediscover peace and joy in a renewed couples relationship. Now, the English language is full of oxymorons. You know, little things like sanitary landfill, minor miracle, and even government intelligence. But did you ever stop to think that grief might be good? Is it possible to have good grief? Ever wish someone would help you learn how to best care for someone who has experienced a loss? How to help a hurting heart will give you the tools you'll need to be a kind-hearted helper to those who are grieving. Other workshops include The Unthinkable, that's Shonda's story, and Oh Brother, where we talk about sibling grief, as well as Oh Yes I Do, the original Greater Journey live worship event that started it all. And there's even an open forum for Q&A panel discussion. And there's something even more. The total R2R experience happens when trusted friends and ministry partners Doug and BJ Jensen join us for an entire weekend of hope and healing. We'll be offering 2 to 3 of these a year. Doug and BJ Jensen, founders of the Healing Hallelujah Ministries, are the authors of 18 books and booklets, including Famous Lovers in the Bible and Finding Hope. They are international speakers and conference leaders, song-signing artists and songwriters, award-winning dramatists and sketch writers, and experienced grief counselors. They're also the bereaved parents of baby daughter Jody Joy and adult son John J. Doug brings a wealth of real-world experience as an attorney and a real estate professional, and he holds a PhD in biblical studies and counseling as well. This full weekend experience can include any of the workshops we discussed already and any of these that are following now, for a total of 9 specific, directed workshop experiences. From overwhelmed to overcoming, our choices produce hope, help, and healing when walking the road of grief. The more you know about grief, the more you'll be equipped for the journey. Why did God take my loved one? Is God punishing me? Why did God fail to answer my prayer? These and many more topics are covered as Doug and BJ address the tough questions after the loss of a loved one. Every year in the United States, there are a minimum of 220,000 parents that are left behind in the aftermath of suicide and drug devastation. What are we to do after this tragedy has visited our home? Rising above suicide and overdose deaths address these concerns. And who better than a couple who has experienced just such a loss? Other options include leaving a legacy of love, laughter, and joy, addressing guilt, regret, blame, shame, and anger, restoring intimacy through tough times, and Fill My Cup, where you can discover biblical hope and definitive answers after our worlds fall apart. Here's a link to see more complete descriptions of the topics and to learn more about R2R. As you might guess, this is a much more detailed and involved process than simply going to a church and telling our story. Now, I have no idea how we're going to fund this one either, but we're staying within our ministry model. Anytime, anywhere, no mention of finances. I've begun taking worship leading and concert dates again beginning in July. The only difference is that they will almost all now be within close proximity to our hometown. I've also recorded a brand new project, the Music of Hope 2024, and will be releasing a brand new, an old project entitled Vintage. This includes 78 previously released tracks, many from a long time ago, and it even includes a couple of the commercials and jingles I've written throughout the years. Now this is for the real Joe Knight fans, both of you. We are planning to continue our Christmas concert season as well. And God may have something else in the works, something I've never considered in my entire life before this year. That sounded silly and a bit faithless, didn't it? How about this? I know He has something in the works. Now I realize that at my age, I'll soon be 60. Never mind. I ought to give some serious consideration to that front porch rocker one more time. And to be completely honest, that's looking kind of good these days. But as I look around this crazy world, there seems to be so little time. I want to share the message of hope through Jesus Christ unapologetically as often as I can before the curtain closes on this fallen world. Will you begin to pray with us and help us get the word out? So, is less more? I guess we'll find out. When you consider 6 to 8 major events, at least 3 umbrella conferences, and our Christmas concert season, it looks like less than a dozen trips instead of, several dozen. And though that is much less, it may yield the opportunity to impact more hurting people.
Into heaven we'll ascend. We'll all be together once again. Never more to say goodbye. At the ending of our